Today we're going to be doing a grayscale, actually two grayscales. The first one's going to be in pencil and the second one's going to be in charcoal. So I'm going to lay out my area for my pencil grayscale. This is going to be a 5 square grayscale. So I'm going to make it 2 inches. Each square will be 2 inches. The next thing I want to do is put some tape around it. You don't have to do this, but I find it makes it easier to keep it clean around the edges. You don't have to use masking tape either. You can use Scotch tape, but I have some masking tape, so I'm going to use that. I have my pencils laid out here, and you can see I have the full range from 2H to 6B. These are the pencils that I'm going to use to create the grayscale. I'm just going to move them off to the side here. I'm going to start with a fairly hard pencil just because I want to show you some techniques that I think are going to be very helpful for creating your grayscale. These are hatching types of lines, and a hatching line is a line that goes in one direction. I'm starting right in my middle here because I want to create kind of a not too dark of a gray. Notice how my line is going in one direction. One of the nice things about the tape is I can go up over the tape so I don't get a little halo of light around the edge there. So this is a 2H pencil, fairly hard pencil, and it's not going to go very dark. So I'm just going to stop talking so I can speed this part up on the video. I've moved my paper so that I have a different angle to work from. It really helps when you're working with cross-hatching to be able to change the direction of your paper. It makes it easier to make the correct angle. So I'm going to come back in here now, and I'm going to kind of fix up this little area right here, working with my 2H pencil. Here I'm changing from my 2H pencil to my HB pencil, and then to my my 2B pencil, and then to my 6B. At this point in your grayscale, you're going to want to really darken your final square, this one on the right. This gives you the range that you have to work with in terms of value. So one thing I like to do with this is to start using a little bit more pressure, and instead of a straight line, I'm going to change to sort of a circular line. I have to be a little bit careful right in here because I don't want to go over into this too much. You can see that I'm getting a lot darker on this area. There's a little trick that I like to use, and the trick is to use a harder pencil, say a 2H or an H. I have an H in here somewhere. This is an HB. Using a harder pencil over top of the softer graphite pushes the graphite into the paper. So it actually creates a darker surface even though it's a harder pencil. At this point you can see that my darkest square is much darker than the other squares. I can still go darker, but I want to now try to even out the steps between my values. So what I need to do is darken this one, darken this one, darken this one a little bit, and then try to smooth this one out a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my 2H pencil, which is right here. And again, I like to use this tracing paper to protect the rest of my drawing and also give me an edge right here to work up to.
One thing that's very important in this part is to keep an even pressure on your pencil. Otherwise you can get kind of dark patches. To darken this area even more, I'm going back to my 6B pencil and pressing very hard in that area. Now I'm going over the other areas with a darker pencil, not a 6B, but probably a 4B or a 2B.
So now I've carefully removed the tape, and you can see that I have a fairly good progression from dark to light here. It's not perfect. There are some patches in the light area. The lightest is the hardest one to do. The darkest is actually the easiest because you can't go too dark, but you can go too dark on the light one. So I recommend as you work with this that you practice your hatching lines and your cross hatching lines. Try to keep them very even and straight. It takes practice, so this is plenty of practice for you with this grayscale. Once you get into the darkest areas, you can use a more circular motion in your pencil to fill in some of those blanks, and also use a harder pencil to push the graphite into the paper. So you want to end up with an even gradation from dark to light.